Hello crafty friends, it's Beverly here over at Crafting Chaos with another video for you. And what we're going to be making today is a open the flap window on a card. So we're going to get straight into it. I've opened up the Brother Canvas workspace for the desktop, if you will, of the MacBook, which is also downloadable for Windows, or you could also do a similar tutorial on the online Canvas software, although the buttons and things will be in a slightly different place. So we're going to make a start and we're going to do a circle. So we're going to bring on a circle, and because I want to start with the standard size, I'm going to start with it dead on 4 inches by 4 inches. So that's a 4-inch circle, and I'm going to take a duplicate of that and move it off to the side. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to make an offset line of that, which is going to create a 4-stitched edge around the inside of that circle. So I'm going to click on offset, and I want to go inward, and I want to do it by about 0.08 inches, and I'll say OK, and that's done that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make that a perforating line, not that one, that one, and then we're going to change that to draw. So now we've got a drawing line for that dotted bit, which will give you the 4-stitch inside. Now what I'm going to do on my layers palette, I've got this one selected, and I'm just going to use this in the layers, so it's the third one down, and I'm going to toggle. It says toggle visibility. Now if you watch what happens on the screen when I click the eye, the dotted line will disappear, but it's not, it's just hidden, which means we can play with the rest of the shapes. So I'm going to hide that temporarily. Now what I want to do is create a file that can fit over this one, so that's exactly going to fit inside that one. So I now need to create an offset for that one. So again, on the edit menu, which is the second icon down, I'm going to create an offset, and I'm going to go this time outward, and I want it to be about 0.25 or 1/4 of an inch, and say OK. And then I need to select that one, layer, arrange and centre back, because we need the small one on top. We select both, process the overlap, we're still in edit, and subtract, and that's effectively punched out that for us. And if we go on that, we can have a look, and that's what we've got. Okay, and what we can do now is I just want to put some little dots going around this that I can choose to perforate if I wish later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on another circle like so, and I'm going to shrink it as small as I can get it, which is that, and I'm going to zoom in so we can see what we're doing. So I'm just going to zoom in so I can actually see and handle that circle. So I'm just going to select the circle, and I'm going to bring it along to where we've got our shape, and I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so we can see the shape, or more or less all of the shape. I'm going to just move that and put it round about 1/2 like so. Now you've seen me do this before when we did the portal, so I'm going to make a duplicate, and I'm going to move it up, just get it on the move and then I can get it on my screen, and I'm going to move it up, oops, just check it again, just click on that, and I'm trying to get it up to about 12 o'clock, but so that it's roughly halfway in between this outer and inner line. Then I'm going to select both of those, so just the 2 circles, by holding the shift key down, and I'm going to line them up to the centre, and then I'm going to group them. So next I'm going to select them with that other shape, and I'm going to line them to the middle and centre like so. So now I need another 5 copies of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we need to select all of those. So we're just holding the shift key down, and if it selects something you don't want, just start again, because we are dealing with some very small circles here. And that's got it. So then we want to centre and middle, and we also need them centre and middle to the circle, and then click off. Then we're going to select that one, and we're rotating 30, say OK, back to the centre. Now we're rotating 60. Then we're going to rotate 90, and then 120, and finally 150, like so. So then I'm going to display and zoom to max size, and I select all of that, and I'm going to layer and group. So that's effectively now created my matting layer that will go over that circle. Now we've still got this hidden. I'll just toggle it back on so you can see. So the dotted line is still there and it's not moved. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring on another shape. So I'm going to click this one, and I want this rounded rectangle shape, so I'm going to bring that on, and then I'm going to go back onto the edit and rotate it by 90 degrees, and then I'm going to shrink it down. So I'm just going to do this by eye. So from the corner I'm just going to squish it down and in, like so, and we're going to position that, and I'm just going to bring this one across so I can see how much clearance we've got. So I just need to just toggle that one down a little tiny bit, and I'm just going to make it just a tiny bit wider. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make it 1 inch wide, like so. So then I'm going to move that back off to the side. I'm going to select that shape and the circle, and we're going to line it up to the middle. We're then, whilst those two are selected, we're going to click weld, like so. Next, so if I go back to my toggle now, and we toggle that back on, we toggled that one off now, so let's toggle that back on, so you can now see, oh, I've got an extra shape there somewhere along the line. So let's just toggle that off, and we need to delete that one. So we'll just delete that shape. So we've got that one that can toggle on and off. That is the 4-stitch line, which is a drawing line, which we're going to toggle off because we're going to work with just this shape now. So we're going to zoom back in, because at the moment that's going to cut right through our card, and what we want is a flap, so that when we lift it here it's still attached to the card. So we're going to zoom in so that we can see the top of our shape, not quite so much, so I'll just do it till I can get a nice, and I'm going to double click to expose the nodes. I'll do that again, and you can see hopefully that from here to quarter past the node is selected and it's in turquoise. Now I want to be able to make that exactly the same either side, so we need to finagle a little bit. So I'm going to go on, whilst this is selected, add the node. Then I'm going to select the centre node again, and now you can see that this one is selected, and we're going to say add a node. Then we're going to click on this one, and if it goes off, just double click again to expose. And it's not that one we want, it's this one, and we're going to add a node again, and we want to add a node between those two, like so. So now when I select this one and hit open the outline, I can open it and it's removed that part. Now if I click minus that one, it's also opened that, so now we've got a gap here. So now if we display and zoom to fit mat size, we can see now that we've got this partial cut going round. So now I can toggle my stitch line straight back on again, and if we select both of those together now, we can layer and group. So now we can move that one independently from this one. So this one will, you'd have the flap over the top obviously, but then this bit here would be like your frame, if you will, for that circle, and you'd still have your nice stitch detail. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my text and I'm going to write the word lift. Okay, now I don't want that font, so I'm going to select, I always forget which one this one's in. Here we are, it's in the first one, properties, and I'm going to choose a font that I can use to write, and we're going to try that one, and I'm going to shrink it down like so, and then I'm going to position it on that tab, and then I'm just going to select both of those and I'm going to centre them. So now that lift is in the centre of that tab, and I'm just going to make it a drawing line so it tells the person what you're expecting them to do. So next thing, we're going to bring on a square. Now we started off with a 4-inch square, and that's 4.5. So if I make, sorry, 4.4-inch circle, that's now 4.5 because we've got our 0.25 on both sides outward offset. So now I'm going to make this square into a rectangle, and I'm going to make it 5 inches wide and 7 inches tall. So your classic 5x7 card. And I'm going to select all those shapes and centre them, and then I just want to hide that one a minute. So just go back onto the layers, just hide the rectangle, because I just want to make sure that that lift is grouped along with the other file, so that now I can move that whole thing independently. So just put that back where it was. Yep. And now if we toggle the shape back on, the square, or rather now the rectangle, what will happen is that will cut that shape round there, partial cut, which will leave you a perforating line there, which will allow you to be able to lift this part up. This will slot underneath the lift, if you will, but form a nice frame around your aperture, if you're with me now. It's like an aperture, but it's an aperture that's covered up until you lift the flap, and that also leaves you room for a greeting. Now I'm just going to move that up slightly, so I don't want it in the centre. I want there to be more room at the bottom than there is at the top, but like so. So now I need to just try to select the group. Just going to move the group to the side. Wrong one. So let's try again. So I'll just move it with the arrow keys, and then I don't disturb the rest of the file again until I get it past. Then I should be able to grab it without disturbing the others. So now I can select all of those, and I'm going to layer and group. So now that file is all grouped together. This file is grouped together. So that's how you make the lift up flap card front, if you will. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to select everything, and I'm just going to change the size by grouping it temporarily. Oh, I think I've just ungrouped something somehow. That's right, is it? Yeah. So what I want to do is just resize everything together. So we're just going to layer and group. Now, what that means is, because that's got 3 layers of groups already, we need to layer, ungroup, and then if you click off it, send that layer to the back. And I'm just going to layer and ungroup that, and then finally layer and ungroup that. So all that file's now ungrouped, so I can select the whole lot and layer and group. So that's only got one layer of grouping now. So now I can select everything, layer and group. And then I'm just going to make it slightly smaller because I want the front of that card to fit a 5x7 card. And hang on, I just need to undo that. So I'm just going to select everything again, and I'm going to maintain the aspect ratio, and I'm going to shrink it slightly. Then I'm going to select it, I'm going to layer and ungroup, and what we've got here is our card front, which is now 4.71 by 6.6, so that's going to leave us a nice border on a 5x7 card. And there's our frame from the outside. And if we just briefly ungroup that and have a look at it, we can see, hopefully, let's just ungroup. Did we make the, see what I'm aiming to do? Let's just see where we're at now. Still got a group there. It's not that. It's that one. So we're going to ungroup that one, which is that. And they're just in pairs now. So all of these need to become drawing lines because I want them to be drawn little circles, not cut. So I'm just changing all of these little circles to draw. Would have been simpler if I'd have remembered to do it at the start. So now that one is cut. And let's see if we can get one of these little ones, like zoom in, just to double check that we've got them. And they are, we've not ungrouped that one. That needs to be draw and draw. Hopefully now they're all drawing files. Yep, so they're all now, all these little circles are now drawing files. So we can now select them all again, and we can layer and group. So now all of those little circles will be drawn, and it's not going to put any pressure on your blade. I'm going to zoom, fit to mat size, and that's our lift the flap card, if you will. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it, and you can put your little surprise message underneath and a topper on top, or whatever. You can put a surprise scene underneath, whatever you fancy. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe, and remember to hop on over to my blog at Beverly 10 Blogspot, where you can download the file for free. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.